Nice. Got the band to play on time. Good morning, New Jersey. Good morning, everyone. The gang is all here. Let's bring in Richie Vano. There he is.
Hey,
what's going on? And the G-Man. There he is. All right. The gang is all here, fellas. Good morning. Welcome to a Tuesday. And we got a busy show, really. It's fantastic. We little pre-production, little pre-planning then.
Gee, there's a shock.
Right. Wow. Holy cow. What the hell? You're watching us on YouTube. Good morning, New Jersey. Post up in the comments. I'll open up the comments section here in just a moment. But wait a minute now. I hope we're not having the issue with no audio again. Let's please. That's no. Okay. Whew. Thought that was the case. We're also on the G-Man's Facebook page and my Facebook page as well. We'll get Rich's hooked up for the next show. Let us know where you're watching us from.
MySpace page going.
Would you say MySpace? Oh God, I haven't heard of MySpace. Jesus. From his AOL account.
Yeah.
So hit up the comments. I'll open that up here in just a few moments. Let us know where you're watching us from and who you are. So we welcome any and all comments here, and make sure you like and subscribe to the show on YouTube. We were at 800 for about 3 seconds. It was kind of like, Blue Origin. You go across the line and we're an astronaut, and then we came back down again to 799. So we need 800.
Somebody left. Who's the wanker?
I know. I don't know.
Come on, get back there. You can't blow us off.
That's right. Maybe it's one of the drone pilots.
Terrible.
Exactly. So like and subscribe to the show. So let's get things started here with the weather with 2 meteorologists, and we're bringing in a third one as well later on in the show.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah,
it's getting crowded.
It's getting crowded here. We need a couple more traffic people. I think I could probably handle that as well. I could probably line up a couple more for another show. But anyway, so some changes to the weather, like really big changes to weather today. Not going to feel like getting close to the beginning of winter, is it? So, Rich, you want to start with your? Let me bring in your slides, and you guys can go through this. Let me put this in the stage. We'll go full screen, and there you go.
All right, let's rock and roll. And we got the roller coaster this week. Good morning. It's Tuesday, December 17th, 2024. And also, it's Taco Tuesday, right?
He almost buried the headline.
I had to always think about Taco Tuesday. It always looks good. It's always a good day on Tuesday. All right, we're going to start things out here with a little look at going back into the fall, into calmer, nicer days. I want to share some video with you. Talked about the humpback whales, me being out in the boat fishing all this year. We had some close encounters, back in September, October, November with some of these wild whales off the coast of the Rockaways. Wow, the tail coming up east of Raritan Bay, east of Sandy Hook. And I just want to let you know, it's always sad to say goodbye to the fall and say goodbye to the end of the season here. But, it was just so incredible to see so much bait and so much life in the oceans, when you before you get into the winter season where we kind of stow things away. But look at these whales lunge feeding, eating good in the neighborhood, as we say, humpbacks. And the good thing, too, we haven't really seen these washing up. It's been a much better year, so much life out here. They've been kind of like thriving. And it's always happy to see this. So now as the winter begins, we get into a different season. Hopefully they've gone their way and things are good. So just share some cool video with you there that we've had the last few months. But okay, but back to weather. We've got still an extreme drought. We didn't have a lot of rain in the fall. And then we had so many days when it was beautiful, it was sunny, it was quiet, didn't storm too much. And Jimmy G still dealing with that extreme drought, central southern part of New Jersey, Trenton area, Philadelphia area.
Yeah,
severe drought
southeastern PA, into the Delaware Valley as well. So it was really Ocean County was the first county on that map that popped extreme, and then it just started to fill into South Jersey, and then it spread further to the west. But yeah, over the last 2 weeks, we've probably picked up close to 2 inches of rain in spots. So we've had some drought denting rains. And I suspect maybe the next week or so, we'll see that area of red kind of scale back to D2, hopefully severe drought, and we'll whittle away at the red and just, be more of a severe drought situation. And then hopefully after the winter, if we actually get some snow and some precip, things should start to look a little bit better.
Yeah, it's amazing too, James, because we've had some rain, we've had some storms, and we still haven't really changed this. Drought is a long-term, thing. Mm-hmm. It takes a while to develop and a while to fix. So, it may be, like you said, a few weeks, maybe a month before we start to get back to normal here.
Right. You remember, Floyd, which was Tropical Storm Floyd in the late 90s. We had a wicked drought before that. Floyd eradicated that drought in one day, but dumped a foot of rain. It dumped a foot of rain. So, it can happen. We can eradicate it quickly, but it would take practically an act of God. And unfortunately, that next day, we had NBC choppers, Today Show choppers up above Bound Brook and Manville, and they were underwater. So, I think it's better to kind of do it a little more slowly. And we talked about this last time. We were lucky and thankful that the drought really didn't start over the summer. Really kind of started early fall. Well, temperatures were not in the 90s; they were coming down. And if it did start over the summer, we would have been far worse shape.
Yeah. All right. So, we'll hope for some rain. We'll do the rain dance and we'll see how things go. Weather's quiet right now. Weather service across New Jersey looks pretty good. We had that rain yesterday, a couple of days. Radar's kind of quiet this morning. Some spritzes off to the west around Allentown, PA. And you can see, just nothing much doing here, but we do have a little wave there to the south. We'll get another chance, James, a little rain Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday evening, and Wednesday night. And after that, I think we shut things off at least for a little while, but we will get eventually a little colder. But the word is mild. We've got this pattern here, 40s, 50s, how about even maybe close to 60 this afternoon with that breeze coming in from the west. The maps are quiet, Don. We don't have really, big cold, big snow, big rain. We take you through the rest of Tuesday, this evening, tonight. It's just kind of like cloudy to mostly cloudy, nothing much doing there. And no big cold air. We're going to be about 50s to maybe near 60s. So that's like, maybe light jacket weather for the middle of December. There's our rain. It's mainly later, dinner time on Wednesday after that. And then really not looking at anything too crazy, maybe a little quarter-inch of rain. We need more of this going through Wednesday evening, but it's really not a lot. And, heading into, Wednesday afternoon, you can see there's the rain, across the Ohio Valley, but, it's really not big. It's fast, quick, gets through here Wednesday night. We're back to sun, a little windy on Thursday, seasonable, some 40s to near 50 again. And then a little colder weather, I think, by the time we get to Friday, but it's not crazy cold. That crazy cold weather, James, going to go to long range soon. It's going to come.
Oh, yeah.
But, but again, we talked about it, James, roller coaster warm pattern. This has been happening a lot the last few years in December, right?
Yep. Yeah. And this last go around with the colder shot, somewhat surprising that it lingered for a week plus. Usually these cold shots don't linger very long. It's been more warm air dominated. So the roller coaster ride, it's more peaks and valleys. The valleys are rather short and snipped. However, and that'll be the case coming up here into early next week, into Christmas week, when we do get the jet stream to kind of dip down and we're, sunk in the bottom of that pit, but we're only in there, for a day and a half before things start to swing back around.
Yep. And speaking of which, here's our long range outlook. These update every day. And, again, what you're looking for on these maps, long range maps, is the blue. You want to see that area blue in Canada, Eastern Canada. Normally that's kind of covering a good chunk of the United States. But you can see, like you said, James, they're little V notches. They're little quick shots here. This is for later in the week around Friday, the 20th. All right, there's a little shot of cold air, but look how it just goes to Nova Scotia, to Greenland, to the east. See how it's getting kicked out quickly?
It just flattens out, yeah.
Yeah. We're going to have 2 days of cold. We're going to have late Saturday night, Sunday and Monday, shivering, icebox for a couple days. But again, we talked about this last week. Look at the yellow. Look at the green. This is, Christmas Day now. This is after the winter solstice, right? The official start of winter. And where is winter? It's like, where's Waldo? Where's winter?
What I can tell you is you got that fat 1030 high, almost over Atlanta, pumping in those southwestern winds. So, essentially further west, but acting like a Bermuda high, which we often see in the summer where we get, frequently very warm, if not, oppressive temperatures and oppressive weather. This is obviously further inland, but sort of the same dynamic here, pumping up the warm air from the south, and that's why we've got those mild conditions. And the jet stream is very flat and zonal. However, there are some indications if you look at the longer range metrics, the longer range things that we look at, the EPO and the Madden-Julian oscillation, the MJO, and things might be changing a little bit.
Yeah, but it looks like short terms to end out 2024, at least on these maps, James. We just still have this mild westerly fetch, with really no crashing cold air, nothing coming into places like Missouri and Chicago, even Chicago. Chicago on December 30th is going to be about 45, 50 degrees. It's just it's not the cold that we remember when we were growing up. When December there'd be snow on the ground. So speaking of which, by the way, if you're dreaming of a white Christmas across New Jersey, keep dreaming. It's not.
Not going to happen, huh?
So, Rich, also for New Year's Eve, it looks like we hold on to that warmer air for the 31st as well. So,
yeah, let me go back to that. Yeah, I mean, if you go New Year's Eve stuff too, right now, unless there's a drastic change in what we're seeing here, but the trends, like you said, the trend is your friend. If you want it warm and not snowy and cold, this trend has been in that direction. And certainly, the CP, they updated it, the Climate Center. And look at that. Look at all the red, Don. I mean, this is the United States. Where's the cold? Where's the blue? Where's the chill?
It's Alaska. There's a snippet of Alaska that's below.
Yeah, right. But I mean, especially places like, northern Minnesota and stuff like that. I mean, they should be like in the teens and 20s by now, and they're probably, departure from average. How much you looking? Maybe into the 40s?
Oh, yeah. At least 20. Yeah. At least 20 degrees, 15, 20 above normal.
You know why? You know why, Don? It's not cold in Minnesota?
Why?
Because Sam Darnold doesn't like the cold. That's why.
Got it.
Well, there you go. All right.
Very nice.
In terms of precip, all right. No big storms either. No big rain. Of course, we need the rain. The only place where they're getting clocked is the West Coast again. Imagine being up in Seattle, Tacoma, northern parts of California. They had a tornado last week there in San Francisco. That was crazy.
Wow.
But
I think that was the first ever, right?
Yeah.
I saw something, which is, crazy, but, we can chalk that up to the craziness that is weather of the last few years.
Was that the one that was just north of San Francisco? Like it came through a shopping center or something?
I believe so.
Yeah, I saw some of the video. It was unreal. I mean, this thing path of destruction was crazy.
But the West is where they're getting the storms. We just haven't seen it in the last several months here. And, you talked about the seasonal outlook. This hasn't been updated since November, but they haven't really changed their tune. Still looks like a fairly mild, above normal winter and really no big precipitation, kind of where we are and what we've been doing. So no big change. Quick look at the Climo for Newark Airport. And, we started out, right here, first 7 days of December, we're actually below normal. We had a good cold shot in there. And then we went to about 3 to 4 days when it went above normal, got warm. Then we had a few days when it got cold again. So this is the roller coaster right here, back and forth here we're talking about here. And in terms of temperature for the month, we're about 2 degrees below normal, a little bit colder. And we're kind of right on target with precipitation with, kind of where we should be. So, we need the rain. It's been, you can come back to us here, Don. It's been, just kind of blase weather in terms of anything crazy and stormy. Right. But it's, not looking like any, big winter kind of chill, cold, snow shoveling, snow blowing feel or anything like that, James, right? I think we're kind of where we are right now.
That's fine with me as far as no snow. I mean, once you get into January, once you get into that middle to later part of January, you're adding, probably by that time you got another half hour, 40 minutes of daylight already. And,
it's more time for you to shovel snow. What are you talking about?
I'm actually okay with it too. I've lived a lot of winters here across the tri-state. And, we had them back in the day, James. We had some really nasty ones. My back is still hurting from shoveling. So
exactly. Rich and I went to school in upstate New York, so we got plenty of snow up there.
Oh yeah.
We've been around. So all of us. I think unless I'm going skiing or boarding, I love. Obviously I'd love to be in Vermont or Tahoe or somewhere where it got hammered with snow and wake up and get some fresh tracks or something like that. And then drive home and not have to deal with it. Like when it hammers snow in our business, it's like we're all going like DEFCON 10. I mean, it's like liquid gold in TV and media, right? Yeah. So we're working crazy long hours, so we're doing all of that. Plus we have to obviously get to work and then we have to take care of our own property or whatever. So it's it just makes for an incredibly long day or days.
Right. Exactly. That was always the biggest thing, having to get to work in all this stuff.
Right.
In one piece, in one piece. And, a lot of times probably all of us have left the suits there at the studio and got changed in the back studio or wherever the hell it is. But, it's just part of the entrance to admission, right? To the TV theme park. That's it.
Now we have a wardrobe room at NBC 10, which is beautiful. So I have an actual full length locker.
Wow. So, look at you. A locker. A locker. What is that? I don't even know what that is. Wow.
Beautiful.
Well,
beautiful.
our wardrobe budget here, me and Rich got the memo where yours, I mean, come on. I mean, you got your buddy out in Hawaii that you go out
He's
there.
there right now. He's there. Yeah.
That's what I mean. He
back another
you, pocket lines you for a couple of weeks out there.
Exactly.
You guys having a good old time. So
working on a build out there. We got a project out there.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. So we got Alexandra, good morning from East Rutherford, getting ready to head to her office in Teaneck. You should be good. I just checked the traffic. We'll check that in just a couple of moments. We have Allison here checking in. Let's know where you're coming in from, Allison. Good morning to you. We got Jimmy Berger here. Good morning, guys, from Oak Ridge, New Jersey. And he says that he hears us loud and clear, which is great news. We've got Tito here coming in from New Mexico.
Tito. Yeah, Tito's been I think Tito retired. He's a Jersey guy. He's been all over. I think he's got like a trailer or something, like a not a trailer, but like a camper kind of thing, that you tow behind like a fifth wheel or whatever,
Yeah.
So he's got something like that, I think, and he just travels around, I think, but man, he's been some cool places over the last
well, put it up in the comments there.
Yeah, Tito, man, take some pictures, send it to us, man. Love to,
Sure.
We got travels with Darley, we're gonna have travels with Tito.
Or travels with Darley having Tito
right
in the alcohol. You guys are awesome. Jimmy there. Let's see. Rosemarie says, good morning, guys, from Tom's River. A great Christmas. You too. And Allison is coming in from West Milford. So good morning to you. That's one place I don't think I've ever been, is West Milford up there, northern Passaic County. But Darley has. And next season in January or February, there will be an episode up in West Milford. So certainly look for that. We've got Edison and Metuchen here coming in. Linda says, good morning. Have a beautiful Christmas. You too as well. All right. So let's kind of pivot here now. It's 6:49. Let's see what we want to do. Let me do some traffic first, and then we'll jump into the main story here for our Good Morning New Jersey episode here on a Tuesday. So I have to share my screen very quickly, fellas.
While you're doing that, yesterday, obviously, we're still dealing with the rain. I'm getting onto Route 18 here, just in Marlboro. As soon as I get on, stop and go. Flashing police lights. I'm like, oh, here we go. What happened now? Well, I'll go up about half mile up the road is a black Ford Mustang slid out up against the guardrail. So come on, folks. When it's raining, if you're driving a very powerful car, you got to be careful. I mean, we haven't seen a lot of rain, obviously, with the drought, but please drive carefully and, make sure you get to where you're going this holiday season.
Words well spoken.
There's my little PSA for the day. I mean, if it's raining,
thank you.
Words well spoken from a meteorologist who filled in for traffic while I was really blinded without my glasses, having my beard shaved. All right, so we got the Outerbridge crossing going to Staten Island. We got a lane out there. 295 south of 52, left lane is shut. Goethals Bridge has some problems coming back into New Jersey. It shouldn't really cause that much of a problem. Well, we just updated a bunch of stuff. So 80 overturned tractor trailer ramp from Howard Boulevard in Mount Arlington. Everything is shut there. Again, roadways are probably in certain areas a little bit soggy, as we had talked about. Maybe a little rain came in last night. So doesn't take a whole lot to have you sliding and slipping and sliding all over the place. So those are your incidents here. Let me bring in the maps. No, we're going to go here, and we've got to go to Google Maps. Let's do that. There we go. Voila. So voila. A
little bit of yellow, a little bit of red, but not too bad so far.
No, it's here's the Outerbridge crossing issue. That's going to run about maybe 15 minutes or so if you're headed to Richmond County. Kind of normal stuff. Yeah. Kind of normal. Jesus. Nikki, north on the Parkway, 145 up to 150, the kind of normal nonsense there. This is the issue out by Howard Boulevard. So a lot of folks are stopping to kind of take a peek and seeing the flashing lights. The accident's going west with the overturned tractor trailer at 30. So east is heavy from about 25, 26 on into 30. Then it kind of widens up for you, opens up, I should say. And then south on 15, a little heavy coming out of Jefferson there this morning. Rest of it looks pretty good on 24, 287. So far, so good. Again, it's early here for this to build up. It's going to get there in about another half hour out through Edison into Piscataway, and then eventually, I should say, getting in towards the Bridgewater area. Turnpike is quiet. Western Jersey on 78 and 202 looks terrific. Nothing really happening down your way down the shore, G. 18 is good. Parkway 35. Again, everything is just pretty much wide open. 195. A little backed up here north on 295, getting up into the Pennsylvania extension there of the Turnpike. So look for that. And then just the normal kind of mess here from 4255 into the Aljo curve on 295. And then getting a little heavier, getting out to the Ben Franklin Bridge. But all in all, a pretty decent ride so far. Again, it's still early at 6:53, but just leave yourself some additional travel time, as they say in the business, or the business. That's my business.
There's no business like traffic business.
That's right. That's it. Let me just bring up the Hudson River crossings real fast. So, yeah, it's going to start to thin out, once we really get into next week. And then the last 2 weeks of the year are usually fairly light. So about 40 at the George, a half an hour at the Lincoln, and about 25 at the Holland Tunnel. So seeing lots of brake lights there as the numbers completely tank. As I'm watching the numbers just disintegrate as we go to traffic. So maybe somebody was right. Nameless folks. But we'll leave that out. All right, so let me stop my screen here. So let's get to our main story. Seeing lights on the roads and lights in the sky, Rich. So so let's talk about this drone thing. We touched on it a little bit last week, and it's kind of gotten,
it's a national story now.
No, yeah, it's a national story because now everyone's seeing drones all over the place. And I personally saw them in northern Middlesex County last Friday. So I do have some video that we'll run that after. Rich had a great interview with meteorologist Bill Corbell, emeritus from News 12 Long Island. How long was he out there, Rich, for? What, like 30, close to 30 years?
30 years, yeah. News 12, and then he was with WOR Radio for a long time. Back in the day, he's been, he's a long time old school meteorologist.
Yeah.
Very good man.
Did he start News 12 Long Island? Was he the first one?
No. He came a little bit after. Yeah,
I think the weather started with Chaffee and Roberto Torrado.
Right. I think you're right. Yeah.
Way back in the day.
Yeah.
And Bill came in later, and then I came in right after Bill. So, but he was an Air Force pilot, and he's a licensed pilot.
Yes.
He's very, very savvy with the aviation, all the rules, and that's why I interviewed him and got this really neat, few snippets here about his take on what's going on with the drones. Good information.
Yeah, and I worked with Bill for a number of years when I did the traffic in the afternoon, and sometimes he'd fill in the morning. Not very much, but for Richie Hoffman. But work with him many times.
To work the morning dizzle.
It does, and all three of us have drank that Kool-Aid. Yeah, many times. Exactly. All right, so guys, I'm going to send it over to the interview here with Rich and Bill. So this is going to be the first part of it. So let's take a listen.
There's been a lot of news about drone sightings all over the area, the tri-state area in Pennsylvania, New Jersey. Question is, what are they? Well, I can't tell you for sure what they aren't. I can tell you that the vast majority of these are either recreational drones like this or aircraft farther away, because honestly, this thing visible at night from, say, 500 feet, or an airplane visible from 5 miles look the same in size. But here's the thing. There are FAA regulations covering the use of drones, both for individuals and for commercial operators. One, you have to register the drone if it weighs more than half a pound. That's what this is, about a pound, not much. You cannot fly it above 400 feet above the ground. It has to remain in sight of the operator. This is for recreational drone use. You have to take a test by the FAA called the Recreational Safety Test to show that you understand airspace. I'm going to tell you about that in a second. If it has lights, you can fly it at night, but to get into airspace controlled by air traffic, you do need prior permission. And that's kind of a difficult thing to do. So let me show you a little bit about where you can't fly these things, but some people are, because honestly, I don't think everyone who buys a drone, you can go out and get one, take it home and fly it without ever registering it, without ever reading about where you can or can't go or any rules. And I think there are a lot of people doing just that.
It's good stuff.
Yeah, great information. And I was studying for the test.
That FAA safety test?
No, it wasn't the safety test. It's the Part 107. It's actually the license that you really need.
Right.
Not so much need, but it's recommended to, especially if you're going to do any kind of commercial work with it. Let's say you wanted to fly a drone for real estate purposes to get, whatever. That's necessary to use any of that footage, according to the FAA. They really want you, they're trying to get people to become pilots in some ways. That's what was told to me 3-4 years ago. Whether that's still the case, I don't know. I never took the test because of COVID hit, and you have to sit for it in person, and it's a whole procedure and stuff like that. So my plan is to try to do it hopefully next year, to try to get my license. That's something I want to try to do. But he's right about the 400 feet. There's plenty of people out there who get these things at Amazon and they just start buzzing around, your neighborhood, that kind of thing. And there are plenty of rules as far as this area. As you mentioned last week, Rich, it's so tight with so many airports, so many controlled airspaces. So what we're seeing could be just some folks are jumping on the bandwagon and throwing their drones up at night just to add to the hysteria. It's possible. But who knows, really? Nobody really has a definitive answer.
There's a lot of, if you go on, I don't know, do I sound hollow here? It sounds like
no, sounds good.
Oh, maybe it's my wonky IFB.
That sounds good.
Wonky.
Yeah.
IFB. What is IFB? What? How do you spell it?
Wonky.
Yeah. There are a gajillion conspiracy theories on Twitter, which is now X. One of them, which is a little concerning, is the thought that all of these drones are our drones, government drones, up there looking for what could be essentially lost or stolen nuclear warheads, nuclear bombs, if you will, or whatever. And that's why, that they may be flying around trying to sense those and where those are. So that might be one of the more disconcerting and concerning aspects of all this, Yeah,
the interesting thing too, you watch that video, James and Donna, it's like, how do you enforce this? What do you have, like police out there writing tickets and searching people in woods and houses who happen to be flying a drone? Is that your drone? Is that how do you do that? I don't know how you enforce it. How do you know?
Well, you'd have to actually corral, stop, the actual pilot on the ground, and if he or she is flying it, with the controller, then obviously that whether they're licensed or not. And just like if you were speeding, the operator would get pulled over and get a ticket. So in this instance, the operator would be the one responsible.
So while I was studying for the test, I was actually able to put the drone up to practice maneuvers and so forth and that. So during the instructor at the time, we were in Edison. We all of us know where the old place was. So it was, fairly, industrialized. It wasn't over residential areas, that kind of thing. He said, let the drone go out. So we did. Send it out. I sent this thing out probably quarter mile, half mile. It was way the hell out over, getting closer towards the Woodbridge border, and you lose sight of it. That's the problem. And that's the thing, like you said, James, is that it's the remote operator could be a mile away compared to wherever this thing is flying over. So you think it's tough to try to hit a moving target, really. They're moving, it's moving, trying to figure out where this thing's going to land.
And then there's the speculation, are they all being launched from the same place? Is one area launching all of these at once?
True too.
And then Bill didn't mention it, but I think I know the answer. A recreational drone, if it does have lights on it, does every recreational drone have a red and green light on it like you often see in the sky? Or are those lights different colors?
That's a fair point. I don't know. I mean, the instructor basically during my time, he was basically saying, probably not the best idea to fly it at night.
Right.
Unless it's for something that's, you're looking for a shot, maybe 150 feet at the top of a building or something. If it's a fire or something like that, then maybe put it up, but nothing, at least the start. So, but it's an interesting prospect. And so, Rich, before we get to Bill's second piece of this, I'm going to roll in some of the video that I took here in northern Middlesex. And you can see that there. That's out over, let's say, the Linden, Rahway area, probably closer to Staten Island. Now, to me, that's not an airplane, because I looked on the flight radar when I was in the chopper, and I have the app on my phone to see what the airspace was. There was absolutely nothing on flight radar at all. And that thing looks to be maybe from a distance, maybe 1,000 feet in the air at best. I mean, and that continued for the better part of 2 hours. The same pattern just continually kept coming through. So, and I think I have some after this piece. There was 3 that were stationary, because you could see the beacons. They were way up there. They were really up there, but they were they basically were stationary. That one dot to the right, and then there was one in the center here that's moving. So this was last Friday night. So this was probably around 10 o'clock at night, somewhere around there. And I mean, I have no clue what they're looking for, what it is, why they're there. And they kind of just all showed up out of nowhere. There was no rhyme or reason, really. And there it is again. I mean, slow moving. I mean, if that's a plane, that's almost in a stall. I mean, that's enormous. I mean, there's no way a plane is that low flying straight across. Like I said, I looked on the flight radar and there was nothing in the flight path going to Newark. Absolutely nothing. They were coming in from the south to the north. True. But according to that, which is, in my opinion, very accurate, they were closer towards the Goethals Bridge and stuff like that. So, something that big, I just don't know how first of all, how that something that large from this distance. Now, again, distance is perspective, right? So who knows how big what we're looking at actually is. But I mean, some of these reports they've gone over the house, and my neighbor actually saw one came over our place the other night, and he said this thing was probably the size of his car. So, I mean, who knows what these things are? I mean, it's really just a crazy kind of phenomenon that's just continuing. I'm not even sure.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really think it's a phenomenon. I mean, I think it's it's very, very deliberate by someone or some agency,
right?
Yeah, and it's just the question is, how does it break? I mean, does one crash and then we get some intel as to what it is, maybe where it's coming?
Oh, it's all fun. What it is? It's all fun and games until somebody gets hurt or something gets hurt. Now, if this honestly was if this was a small plane, and I know Bill's a pilot as well, and he's piloted many planes out to your old stomping grounds, the Hamptons and Montauk and stuff like that. I mean, if this was a manned aircraft that turned off the beacon and was flying into restricted airspace near Newark,
especially the New York airspace,
anywhere near Manhattan or even on Staten Island or whatever, they would have sent up fighter jets. Now, either we're so lax we're so relaxed thinking it's not going to happen again, which is the wrong attitude to have.
Somebody knows something
knows something and they know it's not a threat, but to the rest of us, they're not letting us know.
So I was at the gym the other day on the treadmill, and there was a lady next to me on the treadmill. And so we were just started having this conversation. I was having a conversation with a buddy, and she kind of chimes in. And I think she's either a nurse or she's a healthcare professional. And she's like, one of the big problems with this is medevac flights can't fly if there are drones in the airspace. So you could literally have somebody that, let's say from a car accident, that needs to be medevaced or life flighted from a accident scene that literally cannot be choppered there because of these drones. And that is a problem, big problem.
Yeah, that's a major problem. You're right. I've heard
You know?
I've heard that as well.
Yeah.
And I haven't reached out to my friends there at Linden to see if
Mm-hmm.
if they've been impacted by any of this, because it's usually really at night, and a lot of times that 9, 10, 11 o'clock. I mean, unless it's something really breaking, the news choppers really don't go up for the 11 o'clock news, that kind of stuff. It's that stuff is overnight.
Exactly. It's dark. There's not a lot
Yeah,
of value.
exactly. And that's the other reason why I think they don't want to send anything up, because God forbid, what if this runs into some military helicopter or whatever? I mean, the optics of all of this, regardless of whether they know it or not, I mean, just first of all, the loss of life potentially is just catastrophic. So I don't know whether they were out the last couple of nights with the weather.
Mm-hmm.
So, weather probably hasn't been conducive for any kind of flying at all, so I guess I would say probably this weekend will probably be a good test to see if they're up. Cold, clear, calm, fairly calm conditions, I would imagine. So,
right.
But Rich, and have you seen any of these out on the island at all, or any?
I haven't seen them, Don, but I'm starting to hear now in neighborhood chats that people are starting to look up now. They're starting to take notice, and apparently seeing stuff. I mean, look, this is always, like Bill was going to talk about in the next videos here. You look up. There's a lot of stuff in the sky: helicopters, choppers, emergency choppers.
Sure.
You've got small planes, commercial planes, planes way up high, planes lower. The sky is, as we know, James, in this area, particularly in the tri-state area, there's a lot of action up there. And, the concerning thing, like we're talking about, is now we're adding, this layer of flying objects, at a certain level into, very, I guess, busy airspace. And, it's, you just wonder, like, at what point are things going to get bad? Is it going to,
right.
Where you have a crash or something does crash, God forbid, something does crash to the ground, hit someone on the ground. I think that's where the biggest safety thing is here, because something happens, you got problems.
Sure. Yeah. All right. So I'm going to roll in the second part of your interview with Bill.
So where can't you fly these things? This is the New York City airspace around Newark Airport, Teterboro, LaGuardia, and JFK. 3,000 flights go through here daily. But you are not allowed to enter this airspace, whether you have a drone, an aircraft, or a helicopter, without clearance from air traffic control. This area extends from the surface to 7,000 feet. It is off limits to drone flights if you follow the regulation. But I bet you there are a lot of people out there who aren't. The same story goes for the Philadelphia area. This area is blocked out for all air traffic without clearance from air traffic control from the surface to 7,000 feet. Same thing around Northeast Philadelphia, McGuire Airport Space. And there are lots of other controlled off-limit airspaces around McGuire for the military operation. So that's what we're talking about here when we start discussing what you're looking at.
Yeah, interesting stuff there. And a couple times we had to go out to Queens in Air 11, Chopper 880. We had to get clearance from LaGuardia. In fact, I think I had one of my air checks. We were actually over LaGuardia, and I thanked him on the air for letting us into the airspace, because we were literally right over the airport. I mean, the planes were landing under us, which was kind of crazy. I got some pictures of that. And same thing at Newark too, on the way back to Linden. So it's kind of the line of sight, so we would fly right over Newark Airport and planes would be landing underneath us. So, I mean, it's great visuals, for me, but he's right that a lot of these people they're not following the rules. There's nobody who enforce it.
So just to add to that, there's a big outdoor concert festival called the Governor's Ball. And it's Flushing Meadows Corona Park in June. So they set up tents, they set up sound stages, actual stages, these balloon sort of thingies, displays, balloon chains with, many, many balloons affixed to this chain. Well, recently, last couple of years, one of those chains broke. And therefore the balloons were flying around and the chain was flopping in the wind or whatever. And the FAA was actually notified because it became part of the flight path for LaGuardia.
Wow.
Wow. So these things, I mean, so they take the airspace, they take the flight path very, very
Oh
seriously.
yeah,
The
absolutely,
FAA. So that's why I'm shocked that you haven't heard a lot more from the FAA on this.
That's
It's
a
a
good point
little,
too.
I mean,
Yeah, it's
like,
got to be a hazard. It's got to be some type of hazard.
especially in this area, in the New York, flight path in the New York market, and New Jersey being one of the most populated states in the country. I mean, it's not like we're talking about the Montana Idaho flight path here,
Right.
Right.
So it's like, how come we haven't heard from the FAA?
Yeah.
How come they're not up in arms talking about safety?
Right.
Mm.
But it was interesting, on Friday when I
that's
shot that video with the, when like I said, I was on the app with Flight Radar. It was just interesting how the flight pattern, how it was completely clear from where I think these things were flying, which whether that leads any credence to that, hey, it's ours and we know what it is. And then they've been cleared by the FAA to do what they're doing. I don't know. I mean, what they're looking for, whoever is looking for what, I don't know what's out that way. I mean, there's just not, there are some things, sure, but I mean, you're going to look at the, I don't know what you're looking at. I mean, you're looking at the, the Motel 8 on 1 and 9 in Avenel. I mean, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, a lot of weird questions here. Like, what's the point? What's the end goal here of having a drone? I mean, is it just to get some beauty? A lot of recreational users, and it's actually pretty cool out on the ocean and the waters, James. We've had, like I said, I showed the whales early.
Yeah.
When you see these drones that recreationals, they use them to show like the fish and the whales jumping. And it's really cool to see that perspective that we hadn't seen, throughout our lives, But now you got a situation where they're flying at night, and what are you looking for in the dark? That's my question.
Yeah.
So imagine you're like a charter boat captain, and you're going out to the canyon, you're going tuna fishing or something, or you're down south and bill fishing for sailfish or what have you, marlin. So imagine, so you guys hook up with a game fish like that, and there's somebody on the back of the boat that could actually fly a drone that captures that sailfish or captures that marlin jumping out of the water from the sky. That would be, there's a million great applications for flying drones and for drones.
Absolutely.
What's not great about it, obviously, is what's happening now and what they're doing. Or maybe it is a useful application. We just don't know.
Yeah. The big question is why. Again, Don, why? What's the point?
Right. Right. Exactly. Do you guys know whether there is are there specific weather drones that you can send up? Let's say you want to do, Rich, send it up to get weather conditions at 500 feet, either wind speed or humidity or whatever. Are specific drones that you know of that would give you that kind of information?
Well, I don't think. The radio sounds. These are the weather balloons that the Weather Service sends up every day, twice a day, and that helps us to do our forecasting, get our modeling, and everything like that. That's government control. That's all from NOAA, and they have a very controlled method of doing that. What we're seeing now with these recreational drones is just, I guess, what, chaos, James, you want to call it?
Yeah, exactly. And the balloons that the Weather Service sends up, they get a fair number of them back. They head up into the atmosphere, taking readings, and then basically drop back down to Earth.
Right.
Every day, too.
Hey, twice a day.
For years and years. This has been going on forever. So
The other part of this too is that during my training is that a lot of these recreational drones, battery life is a big issue. Okay, now we're going 4+ years ago, where battery technology has certainly changed in the last 4 years, but the fact is that it was fairly cold on Friday, and battery and temperature affect each other. Okay. So a lot of times these recreational drones, you'll get maybe 20 minutes to a half an hour, like in optimal weather conditions, if it's room temperature or, in the 50s and 60s, whatever. It was fairly cold. It was down into the 30s on Friday night. And these things were up for a good 2+ hours. So that means to me that this is some sort of commercial. These are bigger than something you're going to buy on Amazon or at Best Buy, because like I said, those three were up there for well over 2 hours and they did not move. They were almost like running point for whatever was in the video I showed earlier as far as coming across. So, Who knows what it is? I see the comments here. Let me just throw in some more comments real fast here. Merry Christmas to all, and thank you for everything you do. Thanks, James. We've got Allison. You should come up here to West Milford. It's beautiful, and you get a really good idea on how the drought areas are going. So far, reservoirs are empty. Interesting. Okay. Sally says hello from Garrett Mountain. Lois says good morning, and she's coming in from East Brunswick. We've got Shari coming in here from Point Pleasant. Love Point Pleasant. Good morning, James. This is Lynn. Good morning
nice.
From New Jersey. Tito says, yes, recreational drones do have a red and green light on all of them. So
there we go. Tito hit me up on my Facebook too, kind of telling me what he's up to. So he is retired, but he has a couple businesses and he travels around, and that's
nice.
So yeah,
I've never been to New Mexico.
Oh, he sent me some pictures.
Really nice.
Cool. Yeah, let me see.
James sent you some pictures, so there you go. I can't even read. I can't read. I can't see.
Reading is fundamental.
Exactly. Lindsay said, I agree 100%. How can they claim they know nothing but claim it's not a threat in the next breath? Fair points.
That's a really good point.
Good morning from Cedar Grove. Any chance of a white Christmas? I think we've kind of answered that. The answer is no.
Nope.
Chris says, good morning from Cedar Grove. I just did that one. Let's see here. Brian Landanio says, good morning from Chester. Good morning to you. We've got Kathy here. Good morning. Happy holidays from South Amboy. Let's see. Tito says there is no way these things are flying over Weapons Station Earl, and they're just allowing it. Well, that's a good point as well. It was over Picatinny Arsenal. Also, good morning from Metuchen. That's Lindsay. And that, raises the questions as well. What targets, if you want to call them that, are they looking at? Now, look, this is a different time with all the social media stuff. 25 years ago, granted, there was no drones, but maybe there were, and we didn't know it, right? They could get away with doing this in kind of plausible deniability. Like, hey, it's right. It's not us or whatever. You're looking at aliens or something. I don't know. There's too much backlash. People want to know what's going on. And, whether we ever get an answer or not, who knows? I just don't know. Joan says, good morning. Have a great Christmas, James, from Surfing Jeff and Mom and Howell.
Nice. Nice. Yeah, I surf with Joan's son, Jeff.
Okay. This is Brian Keith, morning from South Amboy. So good morning to you. I don't know if you've seen any of these drones out your way, like out by the Driscoll Bridge, Edison Bridge, that whole neck of the woods there. So let's go back to the videos here, Rich. This is the third one that we have here with Bill. Mm-hmm. And let's roll it in. Let's see what Bill has to say.
So what are these things? I think the vast majority are these people just flying them at night. You can see them. I think a lot of what people see are aircraft higher up and farther away. Can't rule out some commercial operations with some larger drones, but it seems very unlikely that there's anything the size of a car, because it's very difficult to determine the size of anything unless you have something next to it of known size. So this thing up close looks very big. If I'm 100 feet away, it looks very small. So how can you say how big something was? But people are on edge. I understand it with the news media, with the internet information, and with what's going on around the world. This is a hot topic right now. But again, most of what you're seeing are these, just personal drones or aircraft flying at night when all the lights are on. You don't see them during the day because hard to see this, and hard to see aircraft unless they're very close to you.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like you see them in certain areas. You see many of them, so that would indicate like more of a coordinated effort. So I don't know. I feel like if it's just private, like drone enthusiasts, like, how are you getting so many in one spot at once when people are claiming, there was a Coast Guard cutter that was coming into LBI that was supposedly followed by like a pack of drones. So like, if these are just regular Joe Schmoes doing it, like, how are they coordinating that? Are they using social media? Are they like, hey, let's go fly drones tonight and freak everybody out? I don't know. I'm not buying that scenario.
Yeah, and flying over water, and our other good friend meteorologist Justin Godnick as well. He is a licensed drone pilot,
and a pilot, and a regular
pilot, and a pilot as well, like Bill is. And I think he flies very infrequently his drone over water because one, you're afraid, God forbid, you lose it. You're going to lose like a couple $1,000.
Yeah.
Two, well, you guys know better than me. Like if you're out over the ocean, the winds and everything are a lot different than what they are on land. So you're not really gonna, you may not be able to predict which way you want the drone to go, and to be out that far with a Coast Guard cutter, what are you looking at? A half mile, mile offshore?
Yeah.
Whatever. I mean, that's way out there. And trying to control something that large, if this is what the size of these things are, from the shore, let's say you're at the Manasquan Inlet, right? Just radio communications as far as the signal going back and forth to control this thing.
Right.
It's
So
got to be something sophisticated. And, I'm here also was hearing that, I know personally of police departments here in New Jersey who are using drones that are completely unmanned and not line of sight. I will not mention the department, but I know for a fact I've seen them.
Right.
So, and they're fairly large. And they can just end up at a location just from GPS. They put the coordinates in and it goes.
Right. So here's the thing. If you're flying a drone over the ocean, you have to be relatively close to it, operating it, or at least a recreational drone. So if that's the case, where are the drone operators? Where are they coming from? Are they hanging out at the shore? Are they on the beach? Are they... are they at Leggett's? I don't know. No deference to Leggett's, a great place in Manasquan, but I'm just saying, I'm just using a local restaurant. I don't know.
Well, that's the great point. Yeah, where are these people? Like I said before, it's like if you're doing something wrong, if you're speeding, if you're breaking the law, you're somewhere stealing. I mean, you get found. Where is? I mean, like I said, are there authorities? Are there people, police? I don't know, state authorities that can notice a drone and say, "Oh, I see the guy. He's over there." The guy could be in a barn. The guy could be in underground. The guy could be, I don't know where. How do you find the source of who's flying the drone?
Right.
And that's the weird thing about this.
Right. So I know, like for instance, the American military will use drones. Will use drone strikes in all various parts of the world, and the drone pilots could be in the desert southeast, in the desert west of the United States. They could be in Nevada, they could be in Arizona, they could be thousands and thousands of miles away, but these are military drones. So
so the technology is there. We all know that. It's
on the military sort of professional level.
Correct.
So if it's not that, then on a recreational level, where are the drone operators? If these are recreational drones, where are they?
Who knows? I mean,
I
don't know. And you know what I mean? Again, if truly what I was looking at was a drone, which I'm almost 100% sure it was, the video I showed earlier, those are much larger than something that you'd see at like, a football halftime show. They got these, you see these things either in China or whatever that, they send up like 500 of these things. They're all in coordination and they do the lights and all that kind of stuff. Those are the small ones like what Bill had, commercial, recreational.
Yeah.
These things are, I don't know. Look, we're not going to know any answers really until somebody says something, which it doesn't seem like anybody's going to, unless, excuse me, whether the two governors, Murphy and Hochul, come together and try to make a push to figure out what's going on. But they're only governors. I hate to say it. They've got no authority to do anything with these things. There's nothing written in the law as far as can you shoot these things. People say, shoot them down, shoot them down.
Yeah, come on. You'd be fine. No, I will say if these drones were like over Texas or in the South, the good old boys would be cranking off rounds left and right.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah,
everybody having holes in their houses and things like that.
A couple 100 feet, somebody out there with a hunting rifle or whatever will try to take one out.
I think we might actually get one after a couple practice rounds.
But even so, it's like we said before, you don't know how big some of these drones are. You shoot one down, you don't want one crashing on top of your car or someone else's car. Yeah. Or God forbid, there's kid crossing the street. I mean, you don't want to do that. These I don't know how much these things weigh, Don. I know maybe if you've ever had one, but do they weigh like more than 5, 10, 15 pounds? Are they heavier? I mean,
the recreational ones are fair, but recreational ones can weigh a couple pounds. Again, like Bill said, that there are certain restrictions as far as it's like 464 grams or something like that you don't have to register it. If it's anything over, you do. So a lot of times these manufacturers will make them like 454, I think, and they'll make them like 453 with the camera and the battery on it, so you don't have to actually register it. But it's it's fairly light. Some of the other ones that are fully metal, big propellers, maybe have 8 blades spinning at the same time.
Right.
Yeah, that's a fairly, 50 pounds, maybe 40, 50 pounds,
And that's a lot falling from the sky. We think about it, James, falling,
Sure.
4, 5, 6, 700 feet down, acceleration due to gravity, bang.
Yep.
Yeah,
that does damage.
That's a lot of damage. That's right. John says, good morning from Clifton. It's 7:27. I know, you got to go soon because you're heading down to Philly, right?
Yeah. NBC 10. Yep.
Yeah.
So catch me on NBC 10 tonight, doing the 5, the 7, the 11.
Wow.
Boy. So
look out.
So we got a packed schedule tonight, and starting to see the drones in Pennsylvania as well. So it's a PA story also.
Yeah, interesting. All right, so G, let me let you do our Eastern Millworks folk here.
Yeah, Eastern Architectural Millwork, the exterior division, making outdoor custom products from brackets, corbels, outdoor showers, fencing, you name it. The Eastern Coastal Rail, a huge hit at the Jersey Shore as well. So Eastern Architectural Millwork, if you can think it, if you'd like it, Eastern Architectural Millwork exterior division can make it.
Wonderful. And also travels with Darley, great travel program on PBS Create, Amazon Prime, Wondrim, as well as New Jersey PBS and PBS Create. Wonderful travel program. Gives you the best places to travel around the world. I believe it's going to be season, I want to get this right, maybe 14, I think, is coming in January, where one of the episodes is in Northern Passaic County. Parts of West Milford are highlighted, I should say, in the spotlight. Certainly get ready for that. We'll let you know when that does drop. Usually you're right around the end of January, early February. And that's when that new season will hit air. So Travels Darley, go to our website, darley-newman.com. Follow her on Twitter and Instagram. Very active on Instagram, puts a lot of reels up. And if you post up a comment, definitely we'll get back to you. She's really good about that. So a lot of fun with Travels with Darley. Darley Newman, good friend here to the broadcast. All right, guys. In the last 2 minutes or so, you want to do a little kind of out the door forecast here, what people can expect the next couple of days. So
yeah, hold on, let me look out the window. Okay.
Hey, this is all about this week.
It's all about
this.
The
balmy weather for at least a few days. The quick wrap up here. Enjoy the warmth. If you don't like the cold, snow and ice, keep those snow blowers tucked away for a while, and we'll have one good, if you like the cold, Saturday night, James, Sunday and Monday. It's a quick Arctic blast. We're going to be in the ice box for maybe like 72 hours tops. And then we're going to turn the corner into Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, and the week of going to New Year's back to kind of what we got right now, some 40s and 50s. So another kind of, as my old colleague Jay Engel used to call it, the cupcake winter. It's cupcake, piece of cake.
We haven't heard that one yet.
And all the years they work with Jay, I never heard that one. That's a good one.
Yeah.
All right.
Exactly. He saved that for Rich. Lucky
That's
Rich.
it. That's right. I got Southwestern Blowtorch.
Southwestern Blowtorch.
Shellacked.
We got a lot of stuff.
Yeah, we got a few.
Definitely. All right, guys. So the weather looks, it's December, right? And winter starts what? Saturday morning? Is that right?
21st, yeah.
That would be Saturday morning. Yeah,
Saturday
I got to see the time on that. It's sometime Saturday. It'll be
Saturday is the first day of winter. Yeah.
Yeah, somewhere there. And then we're going, and then the days actually begin to slowly get a little bit longer.
True. That's right.
How about that? We'll add a little bit slowly.
We
really don't. Yeah, we don't really notice a difference till at least mid-January, if not late January. You start to notice a little bit of a difference. And I think the biggest hurdle is once it stops getting dark at 4:30. When it's like 5 o'clock, you're like, "Oh, this is nice." And then it's like 5:15, then 5:30, and then you're like, "Oh man,
that's the biggest thing." And maybe next week, if we do a show, we can get into the whole daylight saving time. I'd like to get your thoughts on that, because I know President-elect Trump has been fairly vocal, at least I think, as far as, I'm not sure which way he's going, whether he says he wants to end, I believe, daylight saving time. So I don't know whether he wants to stay on standard time or the opposite way where many people want to stick with daylight saving time, 12 months
24
out of
hours
the
a
year.
day. Yeah.
A lot of pros and cons there. We can always discuss that. Good discussion, but there's goods and bads on both sides. But
Yes, I agree. We got two more comments, then we're going to wrap it up here. Let's see here. Allison says the ones flying over Ringwood and West Milford seem pretty large, very unsettling. Yeah, that's true, Allison. Yeah. Absolutely. And then we'll finish up your buddy Tito. I have a higher end recreational drone. You guys hit it all on the head. I'm lucky if I can fly for 20 minutes at a time before having to bring it back and change the battery. These, I think, are more. I completely agree with that.
I think so too. Yeah.
Yep. They can't be up for that long without having some sort of a larger battery and whatnot. So, Rich, thanks for the great interviews there. Hopefully,
they're awesome.
Anybody else you want to bring on, feel free. It was great. Want to thank Bill as well. Great guy, great wealth of knowledge, and maybe we can bring him on for a live discussion at one point, which would be great. But this worked out really well. So thank Bill for us, Rich. Thank you, sir, for joining us once again, getting up early here on a Tuesday in the Hawaiian shirt. Looks great. Anything you got to anything coming up for you, Rich? Any TV appearances or anything coming up that you got scheduled?
Not too much. I'm going to enjoy the nice tranquil weather and maybe go hit some golf balls this week.
There you
get
go.
outside, enjoy the air, and save myself from any kind of shoveling or ice scraping. And I'm happy about that. I think James is too.
Nice. Are you doing any work for Newsday TV? I thought I saw something either on Instagram.
Here and there, a little bit. Yep. A little bit now and then, be talking to them. Hopefully, they're looking for some big storms, big weather too, like we are. But Jimmy G, don't see. There was one on the, on the radar a few weeks ago, and that kapoofed like it tends to do. And now it's nothing much but a cold shot this weekend. So,
well, don't worry, we always get the weekly GFS Fantasyland storm that goes kapoof, and then maybe one of them actually, materializes
sooner or later. Right. Sooner or later.
Yeah.
And then G, you're on NBC 10 today. How can people watch that? If you want to just quickly hit that.
Yeah. So I'm streaming it right now.
Okay. I can't show the stream, but just.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right. So let's see. So can you see that or no?
Let me see real quick.
So the lineup is starting right now.
I don't want to play I don't want to play the actual video.
Okay. All right. So there we go. So anyway, so you can check it out. If you don't get NBC 10, I know in Central Jersey we do get it. I get it actually at my house on Channel 10. But if you don't get it, you could always stream it live right off the NBC 10 app. So feel free to check it out. Obviously, the Eagles are crushing it, so it's super fun to be in Philly and reporting on that, and obviously the weather, and so there's a lot going on. Yeah,
and I also know it's on Google TV as well.
Yeah,
it's on the live tab as well. I watched it from that platform.
So check it out. So meteorologist Michelle Rotella will have the 4. She'll have the 4, the 6. I'm going to do the 5, the 7.
I'm not playing like the Oscars. My hand came off the mouse and it started up.
So, there we go.
All right, friends, make sure you like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Good Morning New Jersey. We look for 800 or 800 plus. Let's keep us up over 800. So, fellas, good to see you again. We'll see you next Tuesday at 6:30. Thanks so much for joining us, and have a good morning, New Jersey.